guys, welcome to Unbiased Rugby. So I'm going to talk about the conference system again. I've been having a few thoughts about the conference system and reading up about, and I was doing a lot of research on it, that it isn't fair to have a full conference system. It just doesn't make sense. I know with Pro 14 they've got two conferences. I don't know if that works, if they're going to be happy with that. But the three conference system that we've got at the moment is just not a good idea. It's not a viable model going forward. It does make more sense from my point of view that each team plays each other team home and away. But it would never work with the amount of teams that we have at the moment. I have a feeling that for Super Rugby to be fully successful with a home and away round robin system, we'd probably have to drop to about 12 teams, maybe even 10 teams. So that means South Africa would, if we drop to 12, we can't really drop Argentina or the Juarez. You know, they're doing very, very well. The Sunwolves have started to do really, really well, and those are the kind of markets where you want to expand. So they may have to stay. So it would have to come from the other three countries, which would be South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand. And each one of them would have to lose one team. So which is difficult. It is a hard thing to say. Look, it's easy. It's maybe a little bit easier as a South African to say drop a team because hopefully we can slot that team into the Pro 14 because it's the same time zone and it does make a lot of sense. So drop to 3 South African teams, 3 Australian teams. That's when Australia was the strongest. 4 New Zealand teams, and you can see by the results that there's just only enough coaching and stuff like that to have 4 teams in New Zealand. And on a good day, you know, New Zealand's 5th team is better than most, but you know, to have a completely fair round robin system, you know, we have to drop 3 teams to 12, which I think is completely doable. Now I'm going to talk from a South African point of view. I'm trying to think of which team maybe would drop. Last year I got into a huge big conversation with someone. I believed at that stage that even though there was no proof of it, that I just had a feeling that the Bulls were going to leave eventually and go up north. I don't know why I said the Bulls, which is quite strange because the Bulls are the only South African team that have won modern Super Rugby. So yeah, it's and then there'd be 1 inland team and 2 coastal teams, which is quite good geographically for South Africa, and then the other teams would play up north. And I think one of the big 4 franchises, if they went and played in the Pro 14, I think they'd do really well. There'd be really good competition to Munster and Leinster and those kind of teams, and they'd bring something different to the party. I also think, you know, Super Rugby has also been quite, I'm going to say it's been fairly detrimental to South African rugby. Not in a like a super bad way. It's just New Zealand play a very, very open style of rugby, very expansive, very loose, and South Africans traditionally have never really played that kind of rugby. We normally play a fairly 10-man kind of rugby, so it's very much with the forwards. It's more set piece kind of rugby, and I know that we're slowly moving to the expansive realm, but maybe there's just not enough players for us to be able to play that kind of style of rugby just yet, fully 100%. And it makes more sense for our more traditional players that play a more structured kind of game to go up north, to go play in Northern Hemisphere, which is a little bit more structured. So yeah, from a South African point of view, I don't think it's fairly easy for us to join another competition because our time zones are very, very good for us. But I feel that's the only way to go forward to have a completely fair system, is that we have fewer teams playing Super Rugby. It'd be a lot more competitive. I remember when it was Super 10 and Super 12, it was very, very competitive rugby, and any team could have won on the day. So it may be I think it may be the way going forward. There'd be less derbies from a traditional sense of the word. So what's happening at the moment is all the New Zealand sides are having too many derbies, and by losing a team that have 2 less derbies, but it'd still be competitive, and then the South African and Australian franchises would be a lot better. Or they may decide to drop the Sunwolves, and then I have a feeling if Argentina stays, it makes more sense for them to have 2 teams in Super Rugby. Having just the Hawaiians is just not a viable option for them, especially from a Los Pumas point of view. So yeah, there's quite a few options out there. Well, what do you guys think? Dropping it down to 12 teams. So my initial recording was to try tweak the conference system, but I think to have a full round robin fair competition, like versus like, we need to reduce the amount of teams in Super Rugby, and we definitely need to reduce the amount of teams in South African Rugby. Not that our players aren't good enough. It's just we just play a different style of rugby that maybe it's just not suited to 100% to expansive Super Rugby, fast, high-scoring games, which New Zealand play, which we're trying to learn, and we're getting better at it. But from a revenue point of view, it might make sense for us to have teams going north. Maybe the Lions will go. I'm not 100% sure. I know one of the teams will go, and obviously they played Ellis Park, so maybe that might be the right move to go to play up north, and then we'd have Loftus, Kings Park. I know those teams are also moving to bigger stadiums. But yeah, just have the 3 teams that in Super Rugby. But what are your guys' thoughts on it? I know this is the second video on the conference system, but I think it's important for us to figure out a way going forward for all the conferences and make it fair for all the countries, and most importantly for player welfare. Thanks a lot, guys. Chat soon. Bye.